We finished.
Let's talk about through hiking over 50. Well, I had high hopes for a lovely sunrise that I could share with you this morning, but what we got is gray and rain. Although, since we're going to be talking about life on the trail, this is kind of a metaphor because you never know what you're going to get. Can't see it, but the Sunshine Skyway Bridge is right out there. And Tampa Bay is completely socked in. So, well, we are sitting in the soup, and I do see a little bit of blue sky poking through. Maybe it'll show up by the end of the video. While we're here, let's talk about hiking, especially through hiking over 50. When I started my first through hike attempt back in 2018, I was 52. I actually started on my 52nd birthday, and one of the reasons that I wanted to through hike was just to find out if I could. Because I think when we're young, we feel so invincible. I know for the longest time, even though I was well past 25, I still felt 25 in my brain. And I thought I could do anything. And then as I kind of started to creep past middle age, I started to have a lot more doubt as far as was my physical ability what it should be? Was I conditioned enough? Did I have the mental stamina to get through a through hike? And I think those are all questions that a lot of people, once they get past 50, start asking, even if they've been dreaming about through hiking for decades or even since childhood. The big question is, can you through hike after 50? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can. I don't care who you are out there. If you really set your mind to it, you can. One of the things I thought about while I was on the trail was that somebody who was blind actually completed a through hike, and folks with different abilities had completed through hikes. So I thought, well, if they can do it with those particular challenges, then certainly I can do it. And you can too if you train and prepare right, and especially if you get your head straight, because through hiking is absolutely a mental game. I feel like it is, I don't know, probably like 60-40. And I actually just did a video on that not too long ago about mental preparation for through hike that you should definitely watch. But it's hard to keep your head around that, particularly when, as you're older, you're not speeding up hills like you might have done when you're a lot younger. And even if you're hiking at a pretty good clip, I mean, maybe you're up to 2.5 miles an hour as your average. But then a 20-something comes along and goes, and then somebody goes the other way, and you're standing there and you're like, dang, this is not fun. But that is just part of it, and you've got to really understand what your own capabilities are and embrace that, because the benefit of going a little bit slower is that you get to enjoy a lot of views. If you've got the money saved away, you can spend more time in towns. And you can just kind of hang out and really, really enjoy the through hike in a way that a lot of people who are younger and in a hurry are not able to do. This video is really just to help you be motivated and give you the confidence that you can actually do a through hike. So if you're kind of on the fence and thinking, it's too hard, I don't know if my body's going to make it, you can. You just have to train. Make sure you train very carefully, very consistently, methodically. If you've had physical challenges like maybe a knee replacement or some other kinds of things that happen to our bodies as we get older. Personally, I had osteopenia actually at the time that I started my through hike, and that load-bearing exercise over many miles and many months was actually really good for the bones in my spine. So some things can get better with hiking, and hiking, it's glorified walking, right? I mean, you're climbing and you're going up hills and that sort of stuff, but basically you strap on a pack and you're putting one foot in front of the other all day long. So it is great exercise for you, particularly if you're getting a little bit older and you need to stay limber and stay strong. And I find that when you're on the trail, you're going to meet people from all walks of life, and there will be a lot of young people out there because people tend to through hike, you know, maybe after they graduate high school, or they're taking a gap year, or they're getting ready to go to graduate school and they want to do something fun in between or have some epic life experiences while they're young. You will also find a lot of people who are, say, in their mid-40s to early 50s who have completed a career in public service and were able to retire early. And you'll find people in their 60s and even their 70s who perhaps have been section hiking for a long time, or they've loved hiking and they've just always dreamed of through hiking. And there's no time like the present, because honestly, you are not getting any younger, and neither am I. And I realize that as we get into these middle to later years of life, we end up with a lot of obligations. We may have grandchildren, we may have close friends or neighbors that we're supporting, we may have elderly parents that we're taking care of, and so it can be kind of hard to find the time to through hike. But if you can get that window, and carve it out in your life. Or even if you can say, I'm going to block this time, but I know I might have to get off trail and come back. So maybe instead of a 6-month through hike, maybe it might possibly be a 7-month through hike. That's okay as long as you anticipate that in advance. Another thing that's great for older hikers, and as I mentioned, if you've got money saved up, is what some people call platinum hiking. And that is actually kind of going from town to town or hotel or hostel to hostel, so that you're spending a lot more time in a bed instead of in a tent. Because I know for some people, laying on the ground is not so comfortable, especially after you've been hiking for 12 hours or 10 hours or however long you decide to hike during the day. That can be hard on older bodies. So if you can stop in town or take more zeros or that kind of thing, that can make your hike a little bit more enjoyable. And also, it's important to have good nutrition. So if you're able to go into town more often, you may be able to get more fresh food. You may be able to get more restaurant food and have a lot of good proteins and things like that that are a little bit harder to do on the trail. Plan your diet carefully as you begin to prepare for your through hike, and that will help you. You can make sure that you're really understanding, if you're bringing backpacking meals, what's in them, and are you getting the nutrients you need? Do you need to carry some kind of additional supplements, that sort of thing? Really focus on your diet and make sure that you use that time in the towns to get the good nutrition that you might be missing while you're on the trail. And then my final tip for you would be to really focus on your pack weight. I started with, I don't know, gosh, I'd have to go back. It was probably 22 pounds of pack weight before food and water when I started the AT, and that was a lot for an aging body. I have gotten it down to where my base weight is about 15 pounds just by dialing in gear, figuring out things that I don't need to take, figuring out what comfort items I do want to take. So as I shave weight out of my pack and I say, I don't need this thing, or maybe I can get a lighter piece of gear, I use that as kind of a bank of weight that I can and then invest in things that might weigh a little bit more, like a nice pillow that makes me very comfortable. Or some people want to carry an ultralight chair. You can get a chair that only weighs about a pound, and if other things in your pack are light, then go for it if that's what you want. I personally don't carry a chair, but some people do. So just really think about your weight and how you're allocating your weight, and make sure that you have the items with you that are going to make the hike more comfortable, make it easier, make it more streamlined. And yeah, just get out there and have an amazing time. Because honestly, any through hike that you do is going to be a life-changing experience. It's a trip of a lifetime, and you might as well take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself, because sometimes we say, not quite the right time, and it slips away. And then it's hard to get back. It's hard to find another opportunity in your life. So if you're thinking, this is the year, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do the through hike, please go ahead and just seize the opportunity and do it. I know that you can, and I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you've decided to through hike, if you're planning to through hike, if you have questions about through hiking that you'd like me to answer, drop those down below. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and do that. You can hit the notifications bell so that you get notified and don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And I'll look forward to seeing you here again next time. These buildings have just completely disappeared.